Welcome. This is Ed, the finance guy. Thanks for tuning in. Keep listening. We're going to continue our credit repair discussion. So, one of the questions people have asked is, if I lose my credit card, what's my liability? So I tell people, if you have credit cards, you have 5 or 6 credit cards in your wallet, you should take a copy of front and back. Go to a copy center, make a copy of each card, the front, the back. This way you have the credit card number, you have the CVC number, those 3 numbers on the back of the card, you have the expiration date, you have the phone number, customer service. If you have the statements on all these companies, very often the statements come to you with the first 9 digits X'd out and then the last 4 digits. So you want to make sure if you lose your wallet, lose your credit cards, you have a copy of all your credit cards right away. So if you lose your wallet someplace, you know you can make 5 or 6 phone calls to call up the credit card agencies and say, listen, I lost my wallet, it was stolen, all my credit cards were in there, I need to stop my credit cards. But you'll have the credit card number and you'll have the phone number right in front of you because you made a copy of all your credit cards on a sheet of paper, which you're going to keep somewhere, either in the bank or someplace safe that no one could find. You want to make sure no one finds those copies, because obviously then they could use your credit card numbers. But what's my liability? Someone takes my wallet and they start charging credit cards all over the place. How much am I going to have to pay? What if they charge $10,000 on my cards? Well, you have a credit card liability of $50 for each card. So if they're going to use your card, as long as you can prove that wasn't you, the signatures won't match. Most people have had credit card theft. I was sitting in my house in Long Island and I got a call from Chase Manhattan Bank saying that someone's using my Visa card in Delaware at a pet store, the $1,200 charge. I said, how's that possible? The card is in my wallet. She said, but if you look online, you can see that there's actually devices where people could steal your credit card number just by walking by you and holding out a device near your wallet, and they can get a copy of all your credit card information. Now, when these people used my credit card number, they printed their own credit card number. They put their own black strip on the top. They didn't put my name on the front, but they put the account number on the back, and that was what they were using, the account number. And on the other side, it would have the name Jack Smith. Now, those people happen to have a license of Jack Smith that they stole or they found. So when the cashier got the card that said Jack Smith, and it had a driver's license that matched Jack Smith, but the card number itself didn't belong to Jack Smith, so it belonged to me. They were ready to run the card. And the reason that they called me is because an hour before, or half hour before, I went to a department store and I got some masking tape. So I charged something in Long Island, and 20 minutes later there was a charge in Delaware. Now, how could that be? Delaware is very far away from New York. Couldn't be a charge in 2 different places 20 minutes apart. That's why they called me up and said, listen, we have a situation. And I said, oh my God, stop that charge. But if I wasn't available to answer the phone, they probably would have let that charge go through, and they would have hit my card and it would have been on my balance, and it would have been a big headache. I'd have to fill out forms and I have to do a lot of things in order to make sure that I have to pay the $1,200. Ultimately, I wouldn't have to pay the $1,200. I could possibly pay $50. But a lot of times the credit card companies will waive that fee. So the liability is there, but on a small scale. The idea is to make sure you have a copy of all your credit cards, have a copy of everything, keep it someplace safe. So this way, if in the event that you lose your wallet, you have a copy of all your credit card numbers, and you could pick up the phone and start canceling the cards right away. And hopefully you get lucky and nobody uses those cards. So I wanted to go over, I had a couple emails from some clients, some viewers, and I wanted to go over some interesting emails. I'm sorry it took so long to respond. I had other things going on. So first one is from Steve Jacobs, and he's from Massapequa, New York. And he writes, I have a tax lien from 4 years ago on my credit report, and how do I get this off my credit report? All right, so we discussed that on the last video. The only way to get something like this removed is to contact the IRS, ask them what you owe, make an installment agreement with the IRS on the phone. They're very, very nice to deal with. I have friends at the IRS that I call, and you'll make a payment schedule with them, which is a 72-month schedule if you need it. If it's $1,000, you don't need 72 months to pay it off. Keep in mind the interest would keep accruing, so you don't want to extend it to 5, 6, 7 years. You want to try to get rid of that debt right away. So the right way to do it is to call the IRS or call the state or whoever the debt is with and try to make some kind of a settlement. And again, after you make full payment 12 months down the road or 24 months down the road, it will not be removed from your credit report. It's still going to show that you had this tax lien, that it's now paid in full, and everything is fine, but it's still going to be on the credit report for 7 years. If you want to try to eliminate it, you would write a letter saying it doesn't belong to you, but the IRS usually responds to those, so you're going to have a hard time getting rid of that item on your credit report. As long as it says paid in full, that's really all you're concerned about. You're going to pull your credit report after you make the last payment to make sure the IRS updated the report to read paid in full. Very often they don't. They're just so happy getting the money that they're not going to be sending anything to the credit bureau. So you have to do that. That's your responsibility. You'll get a satisfied judgment from the IRS. You make a copy of it. You write a letter. Enclosed, please find the judgment satisfaction. Please remove this. Please update my credit report to read paid in full. And that's what they'll do. So appreciate the email. Thanks, Steve. Keep listening. Massapequa. I love Massapequa. Got good friends there. Appreciate you tuning in. Next email is from Providence, Rhode Island. Mel V. I went for a job interview. I didn't get the job. Can I look at my credit report without permission? So we discussed this on the last 2 videos ago. The employer that you're going to work for does not have the permission to pull your credit report unless you give them permission. Now, very often people give you papers to sign, to fill out, and, trying to get a job. You're not necessarily reading every last word. Very often on a job application, it's going to state, we want the right to pull your credit report. Now, remember, when you go for a job and you have any kind of social media, Facebook, Twitter, the people in charge of human resources trying to hire you, they will 100% look to see what's on your Facebook. They're going to look to see what's on your Twitter. They're going to look at your Instagram. They want to know who they're hiring. So if they see that you're doing crazy things, if you have pictures of guns on your website, or you have a lot of cash, or you're showing them that you smoke pot, there's a really good chance they're not going to hire you. So you got to be careful. They don't need permission to pull up your social media. But to pull up your credit report, they need permission. And without you realizing, you're signing an application. On there, it says they have the right to look at your credit report. That's why I tell people, pull your credit report once a year. Go online, pay Equifax, get your score. Go to annualcreditreport.com, get your free credit report once a year. Make sure your credit report is correct. It's very important for getting loans, getting mortgages, and getting jobs. Especially if it's a big job, big salary. They're going to sometimes interview you 2-3 times, but you'd be guaranteed they're going to pull your credit report and they're going to look at social media. So Mel V, I appreciate it. I know you sent me an email before. Providence, Rhode Island. Keep it coming. I do appreciate my email address. If anyone needs it, ed1959@usa.com. Again, this is strictly for information, trying to help as many people as possible. So my last email to go over is from Stephen A. in New York City. I had a lien removed from my credit report 6 months ago and received a notice that it's back on my credit report. How is that possible that I got removed and came back? It happens very, very often. Again, that's why you're pulling your credit report. Often, you'll have a collection or you'll have some kind of a debt. You'll have paid it off. It may have come off your report. It may have been deleted on its own because of time passing. Remember, 7 years, it'll come off your report anyway. If you check your credit report a year later, 6 months later, you see it on the report again, what you would do is just make a copy of the letter that you originally sent in saying this item is paid in full and send it out again. It does happen. The credit reporting agencies are dealing with millions of people. Mistakes happen all the time, which is a reason you got to pull your report every year. Look it over, spend a half hour, line by line, go through everything on the report. But it happens. I've seen it many times where debts came back on the credit report after they're removed, but you can get it removed the second time. Sometimes you send credit reporting agencies a letter to remove an item, and 2 of the 3 agencies will remove it, but not the third. So you'll see it on one credit report, not on the other 2. You can't send them a letter saying, hey, TransUnion, how come you still have this item on my report when Equifax and Experian got rid of it? It's like 3 separate individual people, these 3. One doesn't do what the other one does. They're very secretive about how they determine your score. So they're never going to listen to you when you say, well, Equifax deleted it. How come TransUnion didn't? It's not, they don't care. They'll probably throw that letter away. So if you send letters certified, you're going to get a response because by law, Fair Credit Reporting Act, they have to respond to these type of letters. So again, pull your credit, make sure things are on there. If something was removed that shouldn't be, try to remove it again, send the documentation you sent originally that got it removed the first time, and you'll get it removed again. So again, thank you, Stephen A. from New York City. I hope everything is good in Manhattan. I haven't been there in a while. I hope things are working out. I want to shout out to my buddy, Mr. Vance, for helping me go through these videos, sending me requests, sending me items. I appreciate you getting the emails too. Thanks for tuning in. Keep subscribing, share. If you know somebody that has a credit reporting problem, have them call me, 516-205-0722. I'll get them to sign a power of attorney. It's a limited power of attorney, limited to credit repair. I can't do anything with the power of attorney except work on the credit repair of the client. When I send the letters to the bureaus, I send a copy of the power of attorney for each letter. If I send 40 letters, I'm attaching it to the power of attorney, and I send all 40 letters copies to the client. This way you know exactly what I'm doing. You're going to get responses to those letters, and then you send those letters to me so I can keep track of what's going on. If you're doing it yourself, obviously you just keep a file of everything that you've questioned and what responses you've got, and you're going to see things get deleted. You're going to see your scores go up. It always pays to raise your score. Even if your score is 400 or 500, if you can get it over 550, 600, it's a good start. If you start paying down your credit card balances, you're going to see your score go over 620, which is a good number. And eventually your score will go higher and higher as time goes on. Keep making your payments on time. Keep lowering your credit card balances. Open new credit cards, so this way you have more available credit. Because remember, they base credit scores on how much you have outstanding available credit and how much do you owe. So if you have $10,000 available, but you owe $9,900, that's very bad. They want to make sure that you don't owe more than 30%. So you have $10,000 worth of credit available, you owe $2,700, that's very good. So the more you pay that down, the score is going to go higher. No matter what's negative on your report, your score will go higher if you pay down the credit card balances. So keep that all in mind. Again, as I always do at the end of every video, I thank my subscribers for listening. Please keep tuning in. Share the video so you know when the next one's coming out. Keep tuning in. This is Ed, the finance guy, saying be safe, be smart, learn as much as you can. See you next time. Thank you.